Good morning. Shawn here with Accelerators Organization. I hope you're off to a great day. You know, I've been talking with quite a few of you individually through direct message and then also on some get out of jail calls. And I want to let you know, it's been really amazing to see some of you putting forth the initiative of our motto, most won't, I will. And I want to do a special shout out today to an AO member by the name of Holly. Holly is coming to the summer social, and something happened in her personal life where she wasn't going to be able to get a babysitter to be able to come to summer social, but she really wanted to come. And she is driving 2 hours to a relative's house to drop off her child in order to have someone be able to watch her child so that she can attend summer social in order to network with other AO members, you know, create some relationships, hopefully get some good knowledge sharing and some advice for her new business. And that right there is the epitome of the most won't, I will mindset. Lots of people would have just canceled. Lots of people would just throw in the towel. These are the types of challenges that we as entrepreneurs have to work through in order to achieve our goals. There's always going to be something that could potentially stop us from forward momentum. It's truly the entrepreneurs that will find a way over, under, around, or through a challenge or obstacle that will reach their goals. And that's the most won't, I will mindset. So Holly, great job, girl. Can't wait to see you next week. Okay, let's get to today's questions. And if you have some questions that pop up in your mind listening to this mentor session, please log into the portal, ask your question. Don't go do your own homework. Ask your question. I cannot tell you how much value there is in getting perspective from myself and many of the other mentors in this organization to help you find solutions and find new paths that are going to get you where you want to get faster. Okay? First question comes from Nadia. And Nadia says, I live in Chicago land area, and I want to go off on my own to a bigger salon and rent out chairs/suites. Only problem is I am not showing enough of my money to buy something on my own just yet. I was wondering what I have to do to get there. Open a bunch of credit cards under my name or what? The background is I'm a hairdresser and I want to expand my salon to a bigger salon with chairs and rent them out. Okay, love this, Nadia, and I've been pushing you to develop this mindset to not only be a hairdresser, but to own your own salon and start getting some rental income and some recurring revenue, residual income into your life. So fantastic. Here is the first step I would do. I would figure out a ballpark of how much money I mean. And I don't mean a ballpark of 10 to 100,000. I mean like 50 to 55,000, depending on the location. I would start doing my homework on exactly how much money it would take. Then, once you determine how much money it would take, then you figure out how much actual cash or upfront startup capital you need in order to facilitate it, and what are your options for financing. If you can go get some lines of credit established through credit cards or whatever it might be, if you know that you are going to start really working on opening your own place and you know you're going to need access to capital, then yes, I would open up some credit cards. Now, not trying to get too much into financial advice here, but the only thing you're going to want to take into consideration is if you want to buy a house. You know, so if you have plans to buy a house in the next 2 or 3 years, that's really going to make it a challenge to be able to open up credit cards and use that for debt, for startup company capital and things like that. But yes, I would open up some credit cards if it were me, and I would want to get access to as much cash as I could in the form of capital from credit cards, lines of credit, whatever it might be. I would even look at selling my car. If I owned my car outright, I would look at selling my car and then going and leasing a car so that I could put capital in my bank account instead of having it tied up as equity in a car. That's the risk I would take in the very beginning days of my journey. But the most important thing is for you to start putting together a 12-month forecast of what it would look like running that type of business. And you can use hypotheticals as far as rent and insurance and utilities and things like that. You can also use forecasting as far as how many chairs you're going to have, what the revenue per chair per day, per week, per month is going to be, and you can start putting together an analysis to see what the cash flow, the forecasted cash flow would look like for the first 12 months. Now, I'm working with Dan Abate right now with another member by the name of Demarius, and we are working on doing this exactly for his business to give people an understanding of what it's like to work with a genius like Dan to put together these spreadsheets. Now, Dan might charge, $1,000 or $1,500 to put together this type of forecast with you, but this is so valuable. I can't even tell you. It takes me back to the days when I put together my first business plan and I hired a guy to help me do it, and I was able to leverage that to get an investor to invest in my business. This is the type of stuff we have to do. We have to be able to show this is how much it would cost. Here's the forecasted revenue. Here's the fair, the good, and the great analysis, as far as chairs rented, revenue coming in. You would want to have it rented out 30%, 50%, and 75% and show what those revenue streams are. And Dan can help you put together spreadsheets like that. And that will start at least giving you an understanding of how much money you're going to need. And then during that process, you're going to think of lots of different ways to go get that money. Okay? Hope that helps, Nadia. Keep that going. Let's make that happen next year. Okay, the next question comes from Carrington, and Carrington says, how do you know if having a business partner is the right decision for your business? The background is, I am a commercial product photographer, and the other day I had someone approach me with a pitch to partner with me on my business. I know they have a solid photography background, but I don't know how to know if or when those decisions are made or the steps that are taken to come to a decision. I feel I am in a position where my business is slowly starting to take shape and get traction, but this pitch caught me off guard and I don't know what to think about it. Okay, so how do you know if having a business partner is the right decision for your business? This is a very personal analysis and decision that's unique and different to each of us. So let's just talk about some of the different philosophies around this. Many times the reason that a first-time entrepreneur gets a business partner is really because they need somebody's money. That's the first reason why somebody usually gets a business partner is they need somebody's money, and they may or may not need that person to work in the business, but they definitely need their money in order to grow the business. The second thing that's usually part of that equation, if you get the right business partner or right investor, if you will, is that person might have some business knowledge or some industry expert connections. And if they make an investment in their business, they know that they can introduce you to some of their clientele or their network and bring more business to your business, which helps your business and now their business as well. And that's a win-win situation for everybody. You not only get some capital, you get a great partner who brings business to the table, and that's fantastic. The next thing is sometimes we get business partners because we might specialize in one area of the business, but we're weak in another area of the business, and it would be nice to have a business partner that was strong in the areas in which we're weak. And the pros to that are is we pick up an additional partner. Usually 1 + 1 = more than 2. And it's nice to have somebody to work with every day. It can get a little bit lonely for some people working their business all by themselves, and it's nice to have a business partner who is equally invested and equally vested in order to see the company succeed. Now, on the flip side, The con to that is what if you get in business with somebody and then they don't do what they're supposed to do, and then you've got this big emotional mess of a marriage, and it creates havoc because they said they would do this and you're waiting on them to do that, and then they won't, and you got to be their mom or dad, and it turns into a very messy situation, and now you have to figure out how to buy them out, or it just creates a really, really bad situation. So those are the things that I would think about initially, Carrington, is why do you need a partner, or why would you want a partner? Some of the alternatives you could look at doing is just doing a joint venture. So instead of being a business partner with this person, could you guys do a joint venture together? What is their motivation for being a business partner in your business? And if that's something that you were going to entertain, what are they bringing to the table? What are they going to invest in your business? And what's that value to you? Are they going to put in money? Are they going to put in sweat equity? Or are they going to bring in revenues? Usually if it's a solo person and a solo person coming together, they're already surviving equally here. So when they come together, there's got to be a real reason for the two companies to come together. Usually you'd want somebody who's great at sales and maybe someone who's good at operations. And those are usually the polar opposites of a business partnership. Those are some things I would think about in this situation. Maybe this will trigger some more questions that you might want to ask. Once you get farther down the line and you really want to determine what needs to go into the legal documents of a partnership, start asking some questions around there. In fact, I'm going to be speaking with an attorney and Tyler McBroom and maybe another mentor here in the organization, and we're going to do a big Zoom talking about all the different things, and we're going to try to put together a checklist, just as though you were walking into an attorney or a CPA, and a checklist of all the things that you'd want to have answered when you're going to go into a partnership with somebody and you're about to get all of the legal and accounting documents together in order to form that partnership. So hopefully that answers your question and intrigues you or evokes you to ask some more. Okay, the next question comes from Brad. How do I figure out the next steps when I'm lost in taking the company to the next level? The background is we have talked about foundation before and taking steps to building a brand and brand awareness. I feel as of right now, I am just starting to get traction with my target audience, meaning followers on social networks, people interacting with me online, feedback on my products, face-to-face interaction at shows where I get all good responses and reactions, as well as sales starting to pick up and people wearing my apparel. How do I know what the next step is, or should I keep doing what I'm doing and slowly continue and let it all fall into place? Well, I think in this situation, Brad, maybe just a conversation like with Tom on one of his weekly Zooms or me on my branding, but a conversation with somebody to try to figure out if you're on the right path. And then you have to examine what we have to examine what our goals are. And remember, when you talk about goals have a specific, measurable, attainable timeline in which you are going to reach that goal. Now, I know in your situation, you've got a full-time job, so I can only imagine that one of your goals, and you have a timeline around it, is to be able to quit your full-time job and be able to make enough money from your business that you can still have the same level of income and then grow it. What is that timeline? Is there any way to speed up that timeline with additional capital or marketing efforts or sales efforts? So that's the thing that I would be measuring. Remember, everything is about measuring. We never know how far we've come until we can look at a data point and examine where were we yesterday and where are we today or next week or next month. If you are happy with the results of the progress that you're making, then everything is great. If you want to go faster, what could be done? Have a conversation, ask some questions about what could be done. That could be some deep dive questions within some of the mentor sessions with myself or Tom or Dan or Jeff in order to talk through these things. So that's kind of how I would look at it is we don't want to live in what we call, and actually Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach talks about this, and he's about to release another book about this. We don't always want to be living as though we're not happy with the progress that we're making or where we are right now, and that we will only be happy when we reach a certain destination. There's a balance to saying, this is the goal that I want to reach, and when I reach it, I'm good to go. I'm happy. And the progress that I'm making right now, I'm happy. And so that's where I would look, is just do a gut check and say, do you think you could be doing more? Could the company be succeeding more? What makes you feel that way? How can you measure that with data points? And then have some conversations with myself and some of the other mentors to figure out how do we modify that and pivot if we need to, okay? I hope that helps. Okay, the next question comes from Marie. And Marie says, how do you choose brand colors? I am a veterinarian doctor and want to start with my personal branding. Do I choose colors I like, or let a branding professional choose what they know and or think is the best color palette for the brand? Okay, so you're a veterinarian. And if I know that there is something wrong with my dog, Sharky, do I go ahead and just Google it and try to figure it out, even though she's got this something going wrong with her? Or would you recommend I go see a veterinarian doctor? There's your answer. There's enough information in the resource center, in the portal, to talk about colors and the different things around them. But remember, and I've talked about this on one of my branding sessions, if you'll go watch my branding sessions in the AO portal in the 4 pillars branding trainings, I talk about this, that identity is the second stage of branding. The first stage is strategy. And in strategy is where you're going to create your voice. Mission, vision, core values, culture, unique selling proposition, the tone, the voice of you, your personal brand. All of that is going to help your designer when putting together your brand identity kit, which is your logo, your color palette, and your typography, or the different fonts that you're going to use. Any graphic designer, if you go straight to phase 2, they're going to make you go through a certain amount of phase 1. And the more phase 1 you have done, the better your outcome of your brand identity kit's going to be. So yes, I would hire a professional. Send me a direct message or a message on WhatsApp and I'll hook you up with Patty, my graphic designer. She's very good, has a great price, and she can put together a great brand identity kit for you. But however, depending on what you're wanting to do with your brand and how big you're going to go, you might need a full brand strategy session, or at least go through the brand strategy guide that's in the AO portal in the resource center in branding. It's called Brand Strategy Guide. It's a PDF. You could at least start filling that out before you talk to a graphic designer. Okay? Hope that helps. Okay, the next question comes from Rajesh, and Rajesh says, how can I find a suitable marketing co-founder for my startup? Got a long background here. The background is, I am working on an app by which students can get fluent in English online. We give Zoom-based classes to students where there are a maximum of 5 students in a class, so all of them get to talk and practice a lot during the session. The concept is getting very good reviews from the students, and I'm thinking it has big potential for a worldwide audience. We have 2 batches filled so far, but there is scope to fill lots and lots more batches. My challenge is that I am a software engineer by profession. I enjoy the product building part more than the sales and marketing part. So even though I've done the sales for the first 2 batches, I want to focus more on coding, development, and product, as that comes more naturally to me as compared to marketing campaigns, conversion rates, etc. Any ideas on how I can find a partner to complement my skills, as well as do's and don'ts to watch out for in that regard, will be helpful. Okay, very complex question that you're asking there, Rajesh. But the first thing you said is, how can I find a business partner? Well, I mean, generally speaking, business partnerships are formed by people that we know in our network. Even if it's not the immediate person we know in our network, it might be a secondary or third person removed from our network. That's generally speaking where you're going to find a business partner. It's not like you're just going to put a classified ad out on Tinder and say, hey, I'm looking for a business partner who wants to swipe right. Business partnership is a very complex legal matter. It's just as serious and legal as getting married. You wouldn't just get married, right? So it's the same thing. Well, some people would, but it's the same thing with a business partnership. It takes time to build trust. It takes time to get to know each other. It takes time to see people in their good times and in their bad times, because the last thing you want to do is get into a legal relationship with somebody that you don't even really know. You don't know if they're an ethical person, a moral person, a good person, a respectful person, a loyal person. So that's the place that I would look, and that's how I found my business partner back in the day. Was I networked within different workshops and conferences that I would attend as a vendor in the industry in which I was selling my product. And I would walk around and introduce myself to all the other vendors and all of the booths. And I found one vendor that I thought was complimentative, and I asked who owned the business, and I asked for their contact information, and I reached out and I built a relationship with them. And it wasn't until 2 years later that we actually became business partners. So that's how we generally will find a business partner. Another way that we find business partners is we will put together a complete business plan, a pitch deck, and then we will go shop our company to angel investor groups. And angel investor groups, generally speaking, have a really wide network of CEOs and C-level people in their network. And sometimes when they invest in a deal where somebody needs a CEO or something to go along with the deal, that they can build that in, and you not only get an investment in your company, but you can get some additional resources as far as CEO and C-level type people. So that's how you find a business partner. I'm going to get this out to a bunch more mentors, and we hope that there's some additional advice that we can get from some people like Mark and Dan and a couple others. But here's another option for you. Another option would be, as opposed to finding a business partner, why don't you just hire somebody, hire a consultant, or hire a 1099 contractor who's responsible for doing these things for you. Because if you don't necessarily need the money, you just need the person, then hire that person. Why give up equity that could be potentially worth millions and millions of dollars when you could hire somebody for $60,000 to $100,000 a year, depending on where you are and what you need? And you can also build in stock options or warrants or equity or profit sharing into the position, so you can get the job done that you need done without actually having the complexity and complications that could come with a business partnership. Okay, so let that sink in a little bit, let that evoke some additional questions, and then come back with some more questions, okay? Hope that helps. Okay, the next question comes from John, and John says, as a first-time founder, you have a few mentors and team members that have helped you build throughout your journey. You are introducing new people into the mix, which can almost always change the dynamic in the group. How do you manage egos in this situation? The background is we are a startup record label designed to support artists with services never offered through a label within the music industry. We are about to launch Shit's Getting Real. Well, this has to do with communication skills, creating a culture and a brand to make it easy for people to understand how 100% records, what is 100% records. What you do is not who you are. Who you are is, what is the culture like? What's the tone? What's the voice? Are we edgy? Are we respectful? Are we conservative? Are we liberal? Are we, alpha? Are we beta? Are we masculine? Are we feminine? Are we loud? Are we soft? Are we gentle? Are we firm? These are all things that create the voice and culture of our business. And if you can provide clarity of what the tone and what the culture is like in your organization, as you bring new people in the organization, my responsibility as a leader is to teach and instill those values and that voice into anybody that I hire. And I actually want to take that into consideration into my hiring process. This could be personality types, everything. I want to make sure that anybody and everybody that comes into the mix in my environment as a company fits the culture. Now, that doesn't mean that we can control all of the different people that we do business with, but we can create a culture within our own environment. So that's what I would do, is I would focus on setting the tone. I would continue to develop my communication skills, both verbal and nonverbal. And there's a lot of great articles and resources in the AO portal, in the resource center under communication. I would also continue to develop my leadership skills. We talked about this on the phone, John, in the portal, in the resource center. In the leadership category, there are a ton of articles. When I was building my company and I was starting to bring lots of different personalities in, I started reading every book imaginable on leadership, ownership thinking, culture, team building, management, personality types, all those types of things, because every single person is unique and different as far as their personality. And my job as a leader is to know how to speak to each and every individual, not only from a macro level to everybody, but also from an individual level. And that is how I can manage, not control, but I can manage all the different conflict that will happen. Okay? Hope that helps. And the conference workshop that we're going to have in October is going to be all about personality profiling, understanding all the nuances and differences, team building and processes. There's going to be a lot of stuff that could help you at that conference. Okay? And the last question comes from, we got two more. The next question comes from Robin, and Robin says, what would you recommend as a first financial investment in learning for a person who wants to own a business? The background is Sunsets for Calm, which is original oil paintings and colored pencil drawings. Looking to learn next steps to learn about the business side of art. Thank you so much for all you do. Okay, so as far as the art business is concerned, which I have absolutely no idea about, but I understand business. So if it were me and I were in your shoes, Robin, I would go join a bunch of artist Facebook groups and a bunch of business artist Facebook groups where artists join and share ideas and things about business. I have zero doubt that they are going to be there on Facebook, and I would join those groups and start networking and learning about the art business. The art business will be unique. There will still be similarities of every business in which you're going to need sales and marketing. You're going to need operations and processes. You're going to need logistics. You're going to need branding. You're going to need to understand your financials. But there are going to be nuances, like there are for any business, of what is the best way to sell and market your business. What are some of the financial side of the art business that you should be aware of in order to maximize your profits. So that's what I would do, is I would go out there and I would join some Facebook groups. You've already made the financial investment in being a member of AO, so you're getting all the business advice and knowledge that you need here. I would go out there and start networking more in the art community to learn what it takes to what are all of the ideas and opportunities around creating an art business, and then choose what business model is going to work best for me. And that's what I would do. Okay, hope that helps. Okay, Kristen, last question is to you. Last question comes from Kristen. And Kristen says, what is the right way to start a new business under another business? The background is I have an apparel company, LLC, and plan to invest in a food truck business for my stepsister to run. If I have an LLC, can I get a DBA for the food truck, or what's the best route? I would certainly recommend talking to Tyler here in our group. Shirley can put you in touch with him. I believe they have an attorney component of their business. However, because I don't like to give legal advice, so I'm gonna tell you what I would do and what I know just from experience, but I would certainly talk to an attorney. This brings up a good point. Whenever you're getting financial advice, legal advice, or accounting advice, The only true advice that really matters is what a legal advisor is going to say, an attorney, a CPA, or a bookkeeper in that regard, or a financial planner who's in that business. As an entrepreneur, I can share my experiences, and I'll probably be right in this situation. However, always, always, always develop some relationships with attorneys. And I think that Tyler would be able to answer this question for you. In this situation that you're going under, you would want to get another business entity. So whether it would be a corporation or an LLC, you would want that corporation or LLC to own the food truck. You wouldn't want to mix that with the current apparel LLC that you have now. You wouldn't want those to be two different organizations. There's lots of reasons why. The first reason, not only from a legality perspective, you wouldn't want to risk your apparel business from the liabilities that potentially could be created in the food truck business of somebody getting sick and dying and suing, and then they can sue your apparel business. That's the first thing that comes to mind, right? But you also want separate accounting in case you do want to bring in other partners of either business, or you want to sell either business later on. So different business entities is what I would guess is going to be the route. Okay, hope that helps everybody. I hope you guys have a great day, morning, or night, wherever you are in the world. This was a great mentor session. We had some awesome questions because that's the only kind of questions this group asks, which is awesome questions. Can't wait to see some of you at the Summer Social next week right here in this living room right there, and get some more questions in. Hopefully this mentor session helps evoke some additional questions and you guys get in and start asking some more, all right? Myself and the other mentors are here to help as much as we can, all right? Peace out, have a great day, and I will see you soon.